welcome to our house. What?
On the phone you can see I'm not wearing pants. Just realized that.
Yeah, you need to put on pants, babe. We have been getting so many questions lately about not only why we moved to San Francisco from Wisconsin, but what the whole process has been like, and specifically what the difference is living here compared to the Midwest. Like, so many of you are really interested in moving to California, so I thought we would sit down and kind of chat about what that's all like.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally different.
Yeah.
San Francisco versus Madison, Wisconsin is just...
They're basically different countries.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a
they're
good way
so
to
different. So let me see. We have beers. What are we drinking, Rod?
We are drinking
Does he remember?
Firestone Walker Union Jack IPA.
Boom. All right, so we have some questions from you guys and some talking points. So yeah, we're really just gonna share with you what it's like. For those who don't know, we both grew up in Wisconsin, pretty close to each other. I'm from Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, and you are from?
Madison, Wisconsin.
East Side.
East Side.
Don't know what this is, my hands. I will be doing mini hand things throughout the night. So we met when we both worked at a summer camp, 2011?
2011, yes.
In Wisconsin, and then I went to college in Minneapolis. So I lived in Minneapolis for like most of college. I'd come back for the summer, but I was there, and then you were living in Madison.
Yeah, I was living in Madison, just working, and coming to visit her when I could.
So we decided to move to San Francisco kind of on a whim, I would say. Like, man, we had so many conversations about what we wanted to do. I had like graduated college, and I knew that I didn't want to stay in Minneapolis. But back then I thought that I wanted to work in advertising, so I was looking at all these big hub cities, and I was like, Boulder's cute, but like not big enough. Same with Austin. Like, I didn't want to go to Chicago, that was too close. And
same.
we heavily considered New York. I don't think it's the right.
Overwhelming to me.
I don't think it's the right thing. And honestly, like, we went there for the first time last year, and I realized I think I would have hated living there because there's not enough green space and not enough like outdoor things. I think I would have we would have gotten trapped in that concrete jungle and never left.
Yeah, I agree.
So
there's a lot of people there.
he's like, I hate people.
No way.
So I don't know, we were thinking of California, and then one day I was like, what about San Francisco? And I didn't really know a lot about San Francisco. I've never been here before I moved here. You have, though.
Yeah, I mean, I have an aunt that lives in the East Bay, and honestly, though, I never thought about San Francisco being near her. I knew she was near Oakland. That was all I really knew.
Yeah, but it kind of fell together. So in 2014, October 19th, I want to say?
Yes.
We had our tiny little car all packed up with our belongings. We had shipped a few boxes out to his aunt beforehand. She was a sweet baby angel and let us crash at her place for free for a couple months as we found an apartment. But yeah, we packed everything up, and then we drove out here to San Francisco. So that is the how we landed on San Francisco. That is our backstory for anyone who doesn't really know. Or like, what is it, like, what is different about living here? And honestly, the first thing I always think about is the weather. So I joke when people ask me like, why did you move to San Francisco? My joke is always like, oh, like, there's no snow here, and you know, they're like, ha 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 ha, on to the next subject. But honestly, that's like kind of true.
And there's no humidity here. That's my big thing.
And no mosquitoes, you guys.
Yeah. Oh man.
Like, God, I would say, okay, I love Wisconsin, and I miss 4 seasons. I will say, like, not having 4 seasons is really different. If you're not familiar, as you can see out here, that's fog and our very dirty windows because our landlord does not wash them for us. But it's all just fog. It's very foggy here, especially in the neighborhood that we live in. It's a microclimate, so if you leave the city, it's gonna be beautiful.
If you leave the western half of the city,
the western half,
it's gonna be beautiful.
But we have lots of these little pockets of microclimates. So most of the year it's around 65. It's just like a good baseline.
It's good temperature.
Good temperature. It's actually really nice having something consistent. So like, you consistently know what you're gonna wear. Like, you don't have to have summer shoes and winter shoes. You can wear them all year round. Girls, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like 65. and the eastern half of the city might be sunny. The western half will probably be foggy.
Usually.
It might rain in the winter, but other than that, like, the weather is pretty consistent, which is really different from Wisconsin.
It can be from like wind chills of -35 in December or January, all the way up to like 90 with a heat index of 110 with the humidity.
This is why I moved, because it just got at you after a while. I think any of you who live in the Midwest or cold states in general, it's just like it gets at you. By February, you're just like trapped beneath 20 feet of snow, and it's so cold out, and it's just really hard to get around, and it's so cold. You get cabin fever. It's like a real thing, which is why everyone in Wisconsin drinks and eat a lot of cheese, because that's what you do when there's a blizzard outside. Like, that's the main difference, is the weather. Out here, it's way more stable. San Francisco is really close to a lot of things that we like a lot of fun areas like Tahoe and stuff, so we get seasons there. So that's, I guess, segments into the next thing. The things to do around the city. Like, not in the city, but like in proximity.
Yeah, I lived in Madison. There were things to do, but not like San Francisco, but obviously going outside of Madison, nothing.
Nothing. And like in Minneapolis too, there's stuff in the city, but there wasn't anything outside of it. It was just like suburbs, and it was flat. Like, there weren't even hills to go skiing on. Like, you could go up north. That was like what people did. You went up north.
It's fun.
Which is fun in the summer. But like, you do that once, maybe twice a summer. Yeah. It's not something you can consistently do. I've been asked some of my friends. I have some friends who live in Chicago, and we have a friend who lives in Madison right now too. And we're like, what do you guys do? Like, because we weren't really there as adults. We were there as like college kids and students. And they were all like you go to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Or my friends in Chicago were like, you leave Chicago, you go abroad. So like, for the longest time, that's what I thought travel was. Travel was going abroad, because when you're in the Midwest, there's just not as many, I don't want to say like not as many fun things. I just feel like the cities aren't built around tourism like California is built around. Because there's so many cute towns in Wisconsin, but like they don't have the like cute hotels or like trendy restaurants to like really facilitate that like traveling.
Right.
Yeah. But out here, we could go, you know, an hour south to Carmel or Monterey, a couple more hours to Big Sur. We can go up to Mendocino. There's wine country just right there. So many different wine regions. Tahoe is 4 hours this way. Yosemite 4 hours this way. Sacramento, like, there's literally so many things, so many hikes, so many waterfalls, so many restaurants, hotels, regions that are so different. So that's what I think is really great about living here.
Right.
Like, you can't get bored.
You drive an hour and a half west from Madison, you end up in Richland Center, which is basically the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. That's where we met. Yeah.
But still, that's just kind of the example. And in between that, there's not anything anyway.
There's not a lot. It's just, it's very different. So like I tell people, we have small little beach towns. We have colorful beach towns. We have posh, fancy towns. We have like off the grid, no cell phone service, rustic places you can go camping. We have like wine country, like 17 different variations of wine countries, national parks, Lake Tahoe, which in itself is like year-round available, so many different cities, all within like 3 hours of San Francisco. You just can't get bored here.
No, there's so much to do. We've
been here for almost 5 years, and I think we have finally started tapping out nearby things, and we're gonna have to start doing like a second lap around. But I feel like in Wisconsin, after a year, it would be like, well, we've already done that.
Right.
So if like you really want to travel a lot, or you're really interested in doing more with your weekend, I would say that's like the big difference between living in the Midwest and living out here in California. The same with SoCal. Maybe you're interested in LA or somewhere else. Like LA has, well, LA is just fucking huge, but like San Diego's an hour away, Santa Barbara's up north an hour, you have Joshua Tree about 2 hours away, Palm Springs about 2 hours away, so you have all these things as well.
Right.
That's like, it's not just San Francisco. California in general is just like packed. I think the biggest thing people ask us, and you're probably wondering too, is what is the cost of living?
Not think everyone knows the cost of living.
I remember, like, when we were telling people that we were leaving, and we set the date, we were, like, actually moving, and so many people would be like, oh my God. They're like, take my hand, and they'd be like, do you know how expensive it is there? I'm like, yeah, bitch, I wasn't born yesterday. Yeah. So, obviously, it costs a lot.
We did.
I think
we did do research.
We did do research. We weren't blind, but I think it costs, the general cost of living is a lot higher than I really could have ever imagined. And it's not just rent. We will be sharing our rent on the next question, but this is more just like the general cost of everything. It's so much, like restaurants are a lot more, like transportation is a lot more. Like if you want to go out to brunch, gas is more. Everything's more. Like, well, I feel like they have like aluminum tax here for LaCroix. I don't know if Wisconsin did.
Well, the recycling values, a bunch of states do. Wisconsin doesn't.
So Wisconsin doesn't.
But
so
a
like,
number of states do.
But like LaCroix, let's say we get like a 12-pack for $4, we're paying 40 cents in like the recycling tax. So just all that really adds up. So yeah, that's what really shocked me. And it's hard. It's hard. So like San Francisco is what the rent, at least a couple of years ago, was the most expensive place to live.
I think it's like second to New York just because of like...
There was for like a year of Eat Out New York.
it has, yeah.
But yeah, if you're like going out, to like brunch here, at least $16 for a good entree. And then if you want any sort of mimosa or drink, that's gonna be $12. And then it's really easy to rock yourself into like a 40. And then the Uber there and back, because the public transportation system here, not the greatest. So like all of a sudden you're looking at $40 or $50 for brunch with your friend. And that's just like one weekend out. So like we don't go out to eat a lot when we're here because we travel a lot. So when we travel, we're like, we'll go out to eat then. But when we're here, we eat at home because all these little things add up. Even if we just walk to a restaurant in our neighborhood, like, it would at least be $50 at least. And that's like, no, that's for one person. It's at least like $100 for a date night. And when you're paying so much for rent and so much on all these other things, it just like adds up. We moved out here with $12,000 in savings, and it went by like that.
Immediately. So if you want to move out here, have a huge ass savings. Like, it has to be so big. So yeah, like have a huge savings. I honestly, if I had to do this again, I would want to come with closer to like $20,000. Honestly, in savings, just dedicated to getting yourself set up. And we didn't come with jobs, so that also made it really hard. So if you're coming in with a company that like covers your relocation costs, it's going to be a lot easier. Like Google, Facebook, all these tech giants do that. So it'll be easier, but you're gonna have to do first and last. And then like, you know, all your groceries and like your car insurance and like parking and just like getting settled. And then your rent itself is gonna be at least an average of $3,000. So like you're gonna need that. You're gonna need it. So yeah, if you want to move out to San Francisco specifically, at least $20,000. LA, I think you can get by with a little less. Maybe. But it's not an easy state to move to unless you wanted to move to one of like the rural, smaller towns. And I guess that brings us to our next thing is rent in our apartment. So a lot of you wonder how much we pay in rent, and I'm going to tell you, but I'm sorry for this. It's a little bait and switch here. Low-key ploy to get you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be sharing exactly how much our rent is, broken down by like costs and utilities and everything. So a lot of you are really curious about that. We'll be sharing what our first and last was, what our pet deposit was, what the process of finding an apartment was like. Very intense, and we learned a lot of lessons, and we had a lot of fails, and we came up with a system that finally worked. We'll be sharing a little bit about neighborhoods in case you're interested, and then we'll also be sharing more things about California, like how the people are different and things about the food and other things that might entice you to come move out here, or not, maybe not. And then I'll also be sharing a little bit about where I grew up specifically, like what that housing situation was, and you will, and the same with Minneapolis. So we'll just kind of compare exactly what it was like.